Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your overly caffeinated host on a Friday, April 18, 1:05 p.m. Your host, Tony Cañas. Not only overly caffeinated, but pitching my third out of a four game. I don't know if I've ever done four in a day, but I've got four today. You guys are number two.
Quadruple header.
A triple header, exactly. I don't really do call it a double header when it's a two. A triple header before I go off the grid for a week. So today I have with me Dan Roselli, co-founder of Rev Tech Labs and CFV Ventures, and Sara Garces Roselli, co-founder and foundation president at Rev Tech Labs. So both of you, first of all, happy Friday, and thank you for joining me today. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great, Tony. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. My absolute pleasure. So let's see. I normally look at LinkedIn and see. So Sara, it looks like you are in Charlotte, and you're both in Charlotte.
Yes, Charlotte
Metro. All right.
Yes.
All right. Fantastic. I'm actually planning to be out that way sometime next month, but in Raleigh, for Insurtech Carolinas, which this time will be in Raleigh. So maybe I'll see you guys there. And late-ish April, middle to late-ish April. It's beautiful here in Atlanta. I think I have not been outside today. I'm guessing that it's beautiful in Charlotte.
It is a very lovely day today in Charlotte.
Yeah, whatever weather Atlanta gets, we get about 3 hours later. So just comes our way.
77 right now with a high of 82 and sunny.
There we go.
So I'll go skate today. So getting a little warm actually. So we always give the guests a chance to give the elevator pitch. What is Rev Tech Labs?
Yeah, so at its core, Rev Tech Labs is a fintech and insurtech accelerator program. So a lot like Techstars or Y Combinator. One of the things that makes us unique is we are focused vertically on fintech and insurtech, and we've been doing that for well over 10 years now. So we were one of the first, if not the first, fintech and insurtech specific accelerator in the United States. So we're on cohort 22, so we've done it quite often. Been ranked several times by Finovate as a finalist for top global fintech accelerators. So some nice external recognition on that as well.
Fantastic.
And we recruit people from all over the world to come in and help them start their business and move forward.
Fantastic. So what you're saying is when we're done recording, I can go ahead and give you guys my pitch.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
I say that somewhat facetiously. One of my favorite things about the podcast and the recruiting firm is that I never have to race.
You're lucky. Lots of founders don't have that privilege. So.
And on the recruiting side, a lot of the interviews, almost all of them are Insurtech founders, and on the recruiting side, 80 to 90% of the work we do is startups. So I'm very familiar with the pains. So okay, fantastic. And has it always been based in Charlotte?
It has. We came here in 2000. I'm an ex-Bank of America executive. So Bank of America got us to Charlotte. Then I went and became an entrepreneur, and Sara and I have started a number of fintech startups. And then about 15 years ago, we kind of pivoted to this third phase of our career to build the technology and our startup ecosystem in Charlotte and the fintech and insurtech ecosystem nationally and internationally.
Okay, so 10 years. So 10 years is a really interesting number for me. Insurance Nerds, which is the blog that originated first, and then Profiles in Risk came after that, is 10 years old. And when we started the blog, it was about insurance careers, and we had no idea that we would end up talking about technology. And then the podcast started maybe 8 years ago, and at that point, the word insurtech didn't really exist. It was just startups going after insurance, and there was a time where there were so few of them that I wrote an article about what became insurtech, and I featured 8 startups that are trying to change insurance. I think it was the name of the article. By a year later, it would have been hard to feature less than 30, and then by 2 years later we were talking like hundreds and then thousands, right? So from your perspective, from my view, and please do correct me if I'm wrong, so from my view, fintech happened first, right? And then insurtech said, okay, perfect. So you guys start a fintech accelerator 10 years ago,
Almost 13 years ago.
Almost
Yeah,
13 years ago. Okay.
more than 10. Yeah.
Okay. And when did you also start what we now call Insurtech?
Yeah, so we've always included Insurtech as part
Okay.
of what we do in fintech. We take a really wide definition of fintech because by going vertically specific, we've eliminated what 95% of all the entrepreneurs in the world, but
Mm-hmm.
trying to be really relevant to that last 5%, right? So prop tech was always in there, cybersecurity was in there, and then Insurtech was always in there. I think we started talking about it more specifically probably around 2015, 2016. The fintech wave certainly did happen first, and InsurTech was kind of playing catch up. But there's a lot of emerging tech. I say InsurTech has done a nice job of on the innovation front,
Mm-hmm.
kind of catching up, if you will, to where the fintech space has been. They just got a head start.
Okay. So today, right, as you look into cohort 13, uh, lots of our listeners are either InsurTech founders or future InsurTech founders. Um, which ones are the ones that should really definitely look at applying for the Rev Tech Accelerator?
Yeah, well, we're actually on a cohort 22, so we moved to having two
I mean
cohorts a year.
23,
So
23, yeah.
yeah, right. So fair enough. And so most of our folks, the sweet spot are folks that are post revenue, normally have 250 or so in ARR, probably a million in friends and family raised. So we are what I would describe as later stage for an accelerator, but we're still an accelerator, right? We do from time to time take a pre-revenue company if we really believe in the founding team and the thesis of what they're working on. We've also had some post-Series A companies come in. So there is some wiggle room there, but we're not a kind of a concept or cocktail napkin accelerator. We're really working with people that are in market, looking to solidify or grow product market fit. So that's a sweet spot.
Okay, perfect. So basically, you've got a tool or whatever that has some customers, and some revenue. You've raised some money in the past, the friends and family kind of round or angel kind of round, and we can help you solidify product market fit and accelerate the growth.
That's
Yep,
correct.
that
Yes.
sounds right.
Perfect. What is the application process like, and what's the deadline this year?
So it's open probably in a week. We have the applications coming open for class 23. And it's an online application.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty simple to apply to the program. And then we go through a vetting process with our venture analysts and associates. So they will look at everything that the person has submitted about their startup, Google them to make sure they're truly legit. And then if they find that it is interesting and it falls within our thesis, then they will do some early phone interviews with that person and get a little bit more information from there. And then we create a group of folks to kind of talk to Dan and I and talk to them a little bit further about why they want to be a part of the accelerator. And we narrow it down. Usually we have about 3,000 to 5,000 applicants. And we're doing just about 100 finalist interviews, narrowing that down to about 45 candidates that will go before a selection committee that comprises of ourselves, our other venture partners, and we have mentors and advisors that participate in that process so that we have some industry expertise as part of the process, as well as potentially some of our LPs will get involved as well, just because they're interested in learning more about what founders we're looking at.
And out of the 45 that go to selection committee, how many end up in the class?
15 is our
15.
target number for each class. So
Perfect.
we boil down the candidate pool to a group of 15.
All right, and then those 15 that make it through, when does the program start? How long is it? What does it look like? Is it in person? Is it hybrid?
So it is a hybrid-based program, and we will be starting, I guess, late August this year. And it's so it's 12-week program. Starts in late August, ends just right before Thanksgiving. We end with our kind of showcase conference called Venture 135, where our founders get to pitch, and we also invite other founders that might be interested in pitching before a group of VCs as well to that conference. And we have some thought leadership to kind of close out the accelerator for the class. So we are in the middle of class 22 right now. We're actually getting ready to go to New York FinTech Week next week. And we've had some folks up for Insurtech Connect up there as well. So it's a busy season with the cohort right now.
So you have 2 classes a year.
Correct.
Perfect.
So the one thing, Tony, I would say too,
Yeah.
to founders out there that are interested, if you go to the Rev Tech Labs site, as Sara was saying, applications are open for one of the 2 classes, probably 3 or 4 months of the year. And the rest of the time there is a wait list. So you can go at almost any time and plug your name in there to kind of express your interest in participating. It has gotten really competitive, but part of that is that we have a really wide applicant pool. I think, as Sara was saying, I think in 2024 we had 1,000 folks apply, and we ended up with 25, right? So we're kind of low single-digit acceptance rate. And I don't say that to scare people off from applying, because we want everyone to apply and get on our radar screen. But I do think it speaks to the quality of the founders that are in the program. At the end, that cohort really does work with each other, and just incredibly high caliber Insurtech and fintech founders. So that's an encouragement to apply.
Fantastic. And I think founders are, in my experience, not shy and not afraid of low odds, because they wouldn't be founders. Like if they wanted to play it safe, right, they would have just taken a job.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think that'll scare anybody. So that's good. I see you have a bunch of other events listed on the website. So what is fintech and insurtech generations?
Dan, why don't you talk about that?
Sure, absolutely. So when we started the accelerator, 13 years ago, it was kind of hard to get people to come to at that time, a 60-minute demo day of 5 young fintech and insurtechs, right? So I joked that we're scrappy entrepreneurs, so we cheated. And we created a really cool thought innovation leadership day conference with some bankers, some insurance folks, some fintechs, some insurtechs, some venture capital folks. And then once we had all the butts in the seats, we just Trojan horsed the demo day or the capstone presentation from the cohort in. It worked out incredibly well. So we kind of backed into being a small events company. So fintech and insurtech generation, I think it's in its 11th or 12th year now, is that capstone conference in June that acts as also the demo day or capstone presentation for the spring cohort. We've had some great leaders in the industry come and speak at that. Nigel Morris, who's the founder of Capital One and QED. We've had Bill Rogers, who's the CEO of Truist. Frank Holding Jr., who's the CEO of First Citizens and now SVB Bank. So just some great people. It tends to be a really good networking event. This year, I should mention, there's also a startup showcase, Tony. So if anyone listening has a demoable product, you have to have something that can demo. You can go to the Rev Tech Labs site, apply to be in the startup showcase for FinTech and InsurTech Generations 2025. And there's no cost. We don't charge founders to do that. We're just trying to get great founders who have great things to demo and show off their innovation to that group. So that's worth a shout out.
Fantastic. And Venture 135. Is that a private event, or is that an event that any carrier, investor, whoever can buy a ticket for?
Yeah, anyone can come is the answer. The longer answer is it a classic venture event. So think of 50 Series A ready fintech and insurtechs from across the country, 36 venture firms, a dozen CVCs. So it's the largest fintech and insurtech venture event in the country every year, outside New York and San Francisco. And it's an event that a lot of the venture folks like to come to, because we do get a lot of Southeast folks because we are based in Charlotte, but we do recruit from all over the country. But it's a really great event, and it's only 350 person in size, so it does always sell out. But we like that size because it's so much more intimate, and not to knock some of the really great big conferences like Insurtech Connect or Money 2020. Those are just so huge that
Oh yeah.
people like our events because they're manageable in size and enough of the right people there that they want to meet. So it works out well for everyone.
Okay, and this year it's November 20th and 21st. Is that the week
That's
before
right.
Thanksgiving?
It is.
It is, yeah. Thanksgiving's
And
late this year.
we do it on a Thursday and Friday and end by 1 o'clock on Friday with the idea that people can scoot out going into the Thanksgiving weekend. A lot of people like that because they can get out of Dodge a little earlier the week before. And it works well for everyone's schedule, we found.
All right. Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. So I think I have asked you what I can think of, right? It's um if I've missed anything, do please bring it up.
Well, I'll bring up one point of advice
Perfect.
for founders, right? We've been at this a while, as we said, right? So we went through the whole blockchain craze when founders 7 years ago kept coming to us and saying we're a blockchain company. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
no, you're not. You're a payments company or insurtech company using blockchain as a tool to facilitate something happening on the back end, right? A
Mm-hmm.
deliverable. And AI, we went 20 minutes here without mentioning AI. AI is doing the same
I
thing
know
to us right
I need
now
to take a shot.
in the,
Uh
in the insurtech space.
Yeah.
So what I encourage all the founders to do, AI is important, right? It's permeating everything in the insurtech innovation space. It's certainly getting a vast majority of the looks and the funding. But be careful about how you use it, right? When I say, or position it is what I should say, talk about the problem you are solving for consumers or an insurance company, and then talk about how AI is enabling it. You're not really an AI company. You're a company solving claims processing or back-end automation or our front-end filling of the funnel using AI to do X, Y, or Z and solve a problem in the marketplace. So don't wander away from that problem and solution mantra that really is the core of a really good founder positioning their company to other people.
Perfect. And I forgot to ask earlier, you guys accept submissions both B2B and B2C, please?
Yes,
We
that's
do.
correct.
Yeah, we're more B2B or what I would also call B2B2C.
Mm-hmm.
A true B2C is really expensive. And so
Yes,
we leave
yes.
a lot of that out to the Valley in New York and other places. But
That's
we
what I
found,
figured.
well, here's a good example, right? If somebody has a product that's going to be used by a consumer in the end, sometimes in our program, they'll go get their first 5 or 10,000 users in a direct to consumer model because it proves the technology, it shows lifetime value, it shows cost per acquisition, and they'll take those data points and then go to the B2B to C folks to show that they have a tool that people want and will engage. Because a lot of companies use our program and programs like ours as outsourced innovation and they see something that works and resonates with consumers, then they're willing to engage and plug it into a B2B model or a B2B to C model.
Question. I
Yeah.
forgot to ask earlier. Are you guys okay with an insurtech that has gone through another program or another accelerator already? So they went through GIA or Broker Tech or
Yeah.
whatever.
And actually, a lot of our founders have already gone through other
Perfect.
accelerators because they might have needed an accelerator to help them flesh out their idea
Mm-hmm.
and maybe get help with doing a quick early proof of concept. So they do get involved in other accelerators typically before they come to ours because we
Yeah,
are, as Dan mentioned, a little bit further along in the
Mm-hmm.
process of their journey.
Perfect.
yeah.
Um, the name Rev Tech. So Rev as in revenue, I'm guessing.
It is. It's also a little play on Charlotte. Charlotte is the NASCAR capital of the world, so a little bit on revving your engine, revolutionary technologies, revenue
Oh, I got it.
generation. It plays a number of ways.
Perfect. Okay, that makes perfect sense. What other advice do you have for the founders out there, whether or not they're the type to go through an accelerator? The AI comment, I agree 1,000%. The bane of my existence right now is that
I bet it is.
every interview that I do for the podcast, they're claiming to be an AI company, and I am non-technical, right? I'm an insurance nerd.
Mhm.
My bachelor's is in management information systems, but I've never developed. I've right.
Mhm.
So it's hard for me to suss out who is really doing AI, whatever that means, and who is little more than an API called to ChatGPT. But yeah, what other advice do you have for insurtechs that listen to this in the future?
I have one other, and then Sarah may have one. But for the other thing I'll say on AI that is going to continue to come to the forefront, and it already is understanding where your data is coming from and how you're training your AI is going to be the absolute crux of who's successful and not successful in this space. So I think founders need to pay particular attention. You called out Chat GPT, right, which is the kind of over the counter, but there's going to be questions about how did that even get trained, and will that be a usable source in the end? A lot of the founders that we see have the ability to take data within a company and talk about how they're going to use that company's data to help train an AI specific to that company. And I think that's the model going forward, especially for large companies where they have
So
enough data set, but you just got to be really careful about how you're training your AI.
is that a small language model? So I heard that term recently, and I
Yeah,
haven't.
it's funny. I haven't heard that.
Okay.
I still think it's a large language model, right?
Okay.
When you get to the point where you have tens of thousands of customers and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of data points, I still think that's something that, at the basis of AI can't be processed in the human mind effectively. And you need an AI tool to do that. And not only process it, and for me, this is part of the difference of LLM versus AI. It's got to be able to then learn and create solutions, right? LLMs will kind of accumulate a lot of data and sometimes pop out results. But I think AI takes the next step, which is then what do I create in terms of product offering or content that's relevant to the consumer that LLM technically doesn't do.
Mhm.
All right. All right. Fantastic. Um, and I don't think that the foundation has been mentioned. So what is the foundation?
Yeah, so we actually house the accelerator program in the foundation. So one of the things that we learned along our journey is that, if you want to get really good corporate sponsorship, you really need to be in a 501c3 organization. Because a lot of corporations today are supporting nonprofits via their own foundations. And so there's tends to be a little bit more sponsorship availability for folks like us through that route. So we incorporated as a nonprofit foundation. And the other thing we wanted to make sure of is that we were leaving a legacy for the community. So it's not just something that we're running all the time, but it's an asset for the community to have. Long after Dan and I decide to retire into the sunset, as he always likes to say.
And, and I'll have one thing of that really drives Sarah's and mine's passion for founding the organization. I think it drives the Rev Tech Labs team as well. Almost everyone listening to this will already know this, but it's worth saying that entrepreneurs and founders are really the net new job creators in our country and the world, right? Companies over smaller than 500 people in size create almost all the net new jobs. And big companies, well, they're great, tend to be job shedders, and they focus on efficiency and how to get rid of people.
Mhm.
And founders really are the people driving the global economy. And we think if we can help make their path and their journey just a little bit easier, that's really meaningful work to do. And we're really energized by doing it.
Fantastic. Thank you guys so much for your time. This has been a lot of fun. And yeah, look forward to keep the conversation going, and hopefully you end up with some applications from people that heard it here. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
we
you
would
very
love
much
that.
for your time today. When this goes live, I will tag both of you on LinkedIn, and I will tag the Rev Tech Labs on LinkedIn.
Sounds great.
That's
Thank
great.
you so
Thanks,
much for
Tony. We
your time
appreciate it.
today, Tony. It was great.